Good morning, everybody. I'm really very sorry. Actually, my Zoom crashed right at the moment, so I am late by around 7 or 8 minutes. But anyway, fortunately, I am now able to continue. So I was discussing about I have to actually reach to the law of large numbers, Bernoulli's theorem. That is basically known as the Bernoulli's theorem. And it is also very famously known as law of large numbers, right? So I was discussing about the approaches towards probability theory. Just very quickly, I will go through once again. First approach is the classical approach. Second is the relative frequency theory or the empirical approach, subjective approach, and axiomatic and modern approach. In the classical approach, I was taking the example of tossing of a coin. So even before performing the experiment, I know that what is the probability of each outcome, right? So that is the classical approach towards probability. And this was given by Laplace. And this is also known as a priori because before we perform the experiment, we know the probabilities associated with each outcome. So this is a kind of theoretical probability associated with each outcome, right? The next is the relative frequency approach, in which we perform the experiments. For example, again, I'm taking the example of tossing of a coin. So once you toss the coin, let us say 100, you toss the coin 100 times. It is not necessary that you will get 50 times heads and 50 times tails. So you may end up getting heads for 45 times or 55 times, 65 times. So it cannot be a 50-50 outcome. So this is known as relative frequency approach. So let us say I'm trying to calculate the probability of an event A, where event A is actually the getting of heads, right? So whatever the frequency of heads in the 100 tosses that I get, divided by the total number of trials, that will be my probability calculated using the relative frequency approach. All right. Then the proportion of the times that an event occurs in the long run. So this graph is actually, I will come back to this graph. This graph tells me the number of trials. Let us say, again, example, I'm keeping the example of tossing of the coin, 100 tosses, 200, 300 trials, and so on. So at the start, so this 0.5 is the theoretical probability, right, which we calculated from the classical approach. And let us say you get heads 55 times, 45 times, 60. So it will oscillate initially. What this graph tells me that as you increase the number of trials, this number of favorable events to the heads will come closer to 50, right? The probability that we will achieve as we increase the number of trials will approach towards the theoretical probability. So that's the law actually. That is actually the law of large numbers, but more intuitive definition and the mathematical explanation of the law of large number we will see just now. So what is the classical approach is useful for games of chance. Games of chance include the casinos and other related items, related games, game theory kind of thing. It is a theoretical probability attack. It is not based on large number of trials. Whereas the relative frequency approach of the probability is based on the large number of trials, and it is based on the past experiences. Now, what is axiomatic approach? Axiomatic approach is, there are 3 axioms of probability. This was proposed by Kolmogorov. Using these 3 axioms of probability, any realistic problem of probability can be tackled. So the probability varies between 0 and 1. The probability of the whole sample space is 1. Probability of events A and B happening is equal to the probability of A plus B when A and B are mutually exclusive. What is the meaning of mutually exclusive is that the 2 events are only one event can have, only one outcome can be there at one time. You cannot get by a single toss, you cannot get heads also and tails also. So one outcome will be there. It is known as mutually exclusive. And what is equally likely, that any event, any outcome can occur with equal likelihood. Right. So these are three. A subjective approach is basically the relative frequency approach, but you add more of your experience, subjective experience into decision making. So that will be your subjective approach of probability. So these are the four approaches of probability theory, right? Most modern is the Kolmogorov or the axiomatic approach. Now let us see what the law of large numbers is actually. Let us look at the intuitive approach. Let X be a random variable, and let us take we take n observations, right? So X is a random variable, right? We take n observations. So this x1 plus x2 up to xn. This is divided by the total number of observations. This gives me the sample mean. This I will define this term. This is known as sample mean. And one term is there which is known as expected value or the mean value. Expected value. What is expected value? The outcome into the probability. I will define this expected value and the means more formally also in the coming slides. Now, law of large numbers says that the sample mean will approach towards the theoretical expected value as n approaches to infinity. Expected value will also be denoted by mu, whereas xn bar is the sample mean. I will define these terms once again. Okay, so this is again the same graph, where 55 trials, 65, as you increase the number of trials, the sample mean will approach towards the theoretical mean, right? The expected value. Probably we will understand this once we go through. So let us look at what is law of large number. And before we go to the law of large numbers, because we will now be dealing with mathematics. So I will define these formulas, although these formulas are very obvious, but still it is worth mentioning here because these formulas will be used in your coming content of the syllabus, right? So the probability distribution of a discrete random variable x is a function f that assigns a probability to each potential value of x, right? So we can define that as what is the probability distribution attached with a discrete random variable. It is defined, this is a function basically, what is this function? This is the probability distribution function. And this function is given by probability when the outcome of the random variable is equal to x. So this is a function, right? And fx has always to be greater than equal to 0. And sum of all the probabilities will always be equal to 1. This is how it is analytically expressed. Sigma x as a variable, fx is equal to 1. Now this next is the probability density function. Probability in the case of continuous random variable, probability density function will always be greater than equal to 0, as in this case. This is a case of a discrete random variable. And in the case of continuous random variable also, when I say in the case of discrete random variable, it was sigma, whereas in the case of continuous random variable, it will be integral, going from minus infinity to infinity, fx dx is equal to 1. That means the area under the curve will be equal to 1. And what is the probability of this random variable between a and b open interval will be given by integral a to b fx dx, where, for all a less than b. We will use these formulas once we will try to solve the questions in the coming tutorials also. And okay, so this is actually how do we define as the expected value. What I was calling in the previous slide, the expected value or the mean value, this is how we define it. So let x be a random variable with density fx, What is this density? Probability density function. The expected value or mean will be denoted by E, capital E, bracket X, capital X, which is a random variable, or mu. How it is defined as? It is the X, which is the outcome, into the probability associated with that outcome, and you sum up all the possibilities. What is the meaning here? Outcome into probability. X into fx. Fx is the probability distribution function or the probability density function into x, which is the outcome. So outcome multiplied by the probability, and if you sum for all the outcomes, that will be known as the expected value, provided this sigma fx is finite. So this is how we define the theoretical mean. But what is sample mean? I will discuss. This third point is the sample mean. So please understand, sample mean is different from the expected value or the mean value. Now, how do we define the variance? Let x be a random variable with mean mu. The variance of x will be denoted by VAR, capital X in the brackets, or sigma square is defined as sigma square. Variance of capital X, variance of this random variable x is defined as expectation of x minus mu whole square. What is x? X are the observed values. Mu is the mean value. X is the outcome. X is the observed value or the measured value minus the mean value square. And this can be easily proven. I will prove this also. This can be. Please mute your microphones. This can be easily proved that this is equal to E of x square minus mu square, or E of x square minus EX whole square. This can be easily proved. I will prove also. So this is how the variance of a random variable is defined. Now let us come to the sample mean. Here, this was also mean, but this was the expected value. This was the theoretical expected value, meaning by we know the probability. For example, in the case of tossing of a coin, we know the theoretical probabilities. Whenever an outcome happens, we multiply the outcome into the probability plus the other outcome into the probability of the other outcome, and that will be called as the mean or the expected value. But what is this sample mean? X1, X2, X3 up to Xn, these are the observed values from the relative frequency probability approach. These are the observed values. And how many observed values how many values you observe, you will have to divide the summation of all these observed values divided by total number of observed values. What are the values and the total number? And this will be called as the sample mean, and it is denoted by Xn bar. So I hope you at least understand what is the meaning of expected value or mean. We denote it by mu or Ex, and what is the meaning of sample mean. All right, so let us now start looking into the first steps towards the law of large numbers. Let us look at Bernoulli's trials. I have earlier also discussed a bit about Bernoulli's trials, but let us do it in more detail. Many experiments have just two outcomes. For example, the tossing of a coin, the outcome is head or tail. Other can be even or odd, fly or crash, win or lose. That means any experiment which is having two outcomes, we are dealing with those experiments. And let's say for the tossing of a coin, when head comes, we say it is success. When tails come, we say it is failure. Or when it is even, it is success. It is odd, it is failure. So that means we can attach two words, one is success or failure, to the outcomes of these types of experiments. Now let us say the probability of success is P and the probability of failure is Q, where Q is equal to 1 minus P. So that means P plus Q will be equal to 1. All right, and what is the probability of failure? That we can also express as the, what is the failure event? It is the complement of the success. All the elements in the complement of success event, right? Now, so this is known as Bernoulli's trial. So if you, for example, if you throw a coin, if you toss a coin one time, So you will get one of the two outcomes. So this is a Bernoulli trial. But in these kinds of experiments, there is a possibility of repetition, because I can toss the coin repeatedly. I can toss the coin 100 times, 200 times, 300 times. So there is a possibility of doing the repeated trials. So in that case, when the repeated trials are there, so how do we deal with this? Now consider a sequence of independent repetitions of an experiment in which PS is the same, where for all the repetitions, the probability of the success is the same. Let us look at this. What is the probability of success, failure, success? 3 trials: success, failure, and success. This will be P for first success, QP. So this will be given by P square Q. And when 3 failures are there, 1 success is there, Q, 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 P, it is Q, Q, P, and so on. Now, this result is important actually I will come to this result a bit later, where I have written down this important result. But let me talk about the binomial distribution. So in this case, in the Bernoulli trial, you toss the coin once, and these are the probabilities associated with the experiment. Now, let us say you have n Bernoulli trials. What do you mean by that? You toss the coin n times. I will come back to this important result afterwards, but let us continue with the binomial distribution. So let us say there are n Bernoulli trials. Example can be tossing of a coin only, and there can be R successes. What are successes in tossing of a coin? Let us say I call a success to be when heads come. Right. So possibility of R success, probability of R successes. Now for n Bernoulli trials, the probability of success is P, it is 1 minus Q. Now probability Pk of obtaining exactly K successes. So what is the probability of exactly K successes? This is given by probability of K successes. This is given by the formula. This is known as the binomial distribution, where it is given by n choose K, P raised to the power K, Q raised to the power n minus K. This is for n total number of trials and K as the number of successes. And we are trying to find out the probability of K successes. So this is given by this. This is known as this random variable of tossing a coin. This process is, this random variable follows binomial distribution, right? And this follows binomial distribution with parameters n and p, right? And this is denoted by b n comma p or b n comma, this is, or it can be written as b n comma p distribution, right? So what I'm trying to say is that when there are n Bernoulli trials, when there is a Bernoulli trial, it means only 2 outcomes are there. So when there are n Bernoulli trials and number of successes are K, so we are trying to find out the probability of K successes, and this is given by this formula. Now, this is again the definition of the expected value and the sample mean, which I have already explained. Now, this is the variance of the probability distribution. This is how the variance formula is defined, right? This is given by sigma square x minus mu whole square into probability. Now let us calculate the for the Bernoulli trial, not for the binomial distribution, rather for a binomial trial, what is the mean value and what is the variance value. So probability of K, probability K is where K can have 0 and 1, right? 2 possibilities are there in the Bernoulli trial. So this probability is given by probability of K. When K equal to 0, when we say K equal to 0, you will get P to the power 0, 1 minus P, it is raised to the power 1. So that will be the probability of getting 0. What is the probability of getting 1? So P1 of P to the power 1. So this will be 1 minus p raised to the power 0. This will be 0. So this will be p. So you can get directly, this is the probability distribution for a Bernoulli trial, because Bernoulli trial will have only two values, either 0 or 1. Once we have expressed the outcomes in the form of random variable, that means we have expressed the outcomes in terms of the real numbers 0 and 1. So this is the probability distribution of a Bernoulli trial. This is the formula of the probability distribution associated with a Bernoulli trial. And let us look at what is the mean. Two outcomes are there, 0 and 1, right? One is having probability p, the other outcome is having probability 1 minus p. So let us say the outcome 1 has probability p and the outcome 0 has probability 1 minus p. How do you calculate the expected value? You calculate the expected value as the first outcome, which is 1, into its probability 1 into p, plus what is the second outcome? Second outcome is 0. What is the probability associated with this? 1 minus p. So mu is equal to p. In the case of a Bernoulli trial, what is the mean value you will obtain? It is p. And what is the variance here? You will use this formula here. And this formula says that x minus mu. X is the outcome, mu is the mean value. So when the outcome is 1, 1 minus mean value, mean is p, 1 minus p whole square into probability into p plus 0 minus p whole square into 1 minus p. So this is given by p into 1 minus p. And the standard deviation of a Bernoulli trial can be p into 1 minus p under root. Right. So formally expressed in the form of analytical expression, what is a Bernoulli trial? What is the probability distribution of a Bernoulli trial? What is the mean value? What is the variance value? But let us look at the binomial mean. For a binomial distribution, what is the mean value? By definition, the mean value of the binomial distribution is given by, so how do we define the expected value or the mean value? We define the expected value to be mu equal to sigma k going from 0 to n, k into pk, or x into px. But I'm using here k, so this is my mean value. And this pk is the probability distribution of what? It is the binomial probability distribution. So I will use the binomial probability distribution formula, which was nck, n choose k, p to the power k, q to the power n minus k. So I put here, for k equal to 0, anything multiplied with 0 will be 0. So my sigma variation, k variation will be from 1 to n. It is equal to k into, I expand this n choose k formula and this one. So this is k here, this is k factorial. If you expand k factorial into k minus 1 factorial, so this k will cancel with k and you will be left with n minus 1. You take n outside from here and you take 1p from here. So np is out, you will be left with n minus 1 factorial k minus 1 n minus k pk minus. I have solved all the formulas. You know, it is very difficult to explain only by talking the solution. But since the solution, I have tried to solve the solution very thoroughly. So if you find any difficulty in the solution, you can ask me in the class or by phone or WhatsApp, whatever the way you want to ask. Right. So you take np out from here, you will be left with p to the power k minus 1, q to the power n minus k. Right. And so I put k minus 1 equal to x. I put some x equal to k minus 1. Right. So when k is equal to 1, x will be equal to 0. So it will be x is equal to 0 to n minus 1, because my combination is the highest number in the combination is n minus 1. So there is no point in going this sigma, taking this sigma to n. So this sigma will move till n minus 1. np into, I put a variable in this expression, I put a variable x equal to k minus 1. When I put x equal to k minus 1, when x equal to k minus 1. When k is 1, x will be equal to 0. So I replace there's a change of variables. I'm changing k variable to x. So this is the final expression that I will get. And
excuse me, sir.
Sanjeev.
So in the second last step, that where the summation is written, it is n minus 1 by x, or it is n minus 1 x.
Which line? This slide
So
only?
the second last step.
This one where my cursor is?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it is actually x, because this formula is for k minus 1.
No, sir. I'm asking, it is n minus 1 by x, or it is a matrix?
N minus 1. This one, n minus 1 x.
Yes, sir. So it is n minus 1 by x, or what?
Oh, this is n minus 1 choose x. This is a combination formula.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Binomial distribution. This is the binomial probability distribution. I'm talking about the binomial mean, right? Why I'm talking about binomial? I looked at. Let me go to the previous slide. Okay. Let me give a break for 1 minute. What I'm trying to do is that I have tried to explain what is a Bernoulli trial. What is a Bernoulli trial? Any experiment having only 2 outcomes. Like, for example, the tossing of a coin. Correct. Now, so tossing, 2 outcomes are there, head or tail. Head will have a probability, tail will also have a probability. So I can have a probability distribution of a Bernoulli trial. Now, this PK formula is the general expression of the probability distribution of a Bernoulli trial. And then I calculated the mean and the variance in the case of Bernoulli distribution, right? And my mean came out to be P, and my sigma square, which is variance, came out to be P into 1 minus P. Now I am looking into repetitions of the Bernoulli trials, meaning by here I considered only 1 experiment, which is a Bernoulli experiment, but now I'm looking for n Bernoulli trials. So that will be a binomial, that will be expressed, that probability distribution will be explained through the binomial distribution, right? And this formula mu, this is my general formula of calculating the mean, which is given by k, which is the outcome, into the probability of that outcome, k into pk, or it can be x into px, right? So when it is k into pk, what is the probability distribution? Because I am talking about n repeated trials, and I am looking for the probability of r successes or k successes. All right. So probability of k successes will be given by through this binomial distribution, which is n factorial, k factorial, and because it will be n c k, n choose k, p to the power k, and q to the power n minus k. This is a general formula. Now I am just manipulating this formula. How? I am expanding this n factorial. So I am taking n out, and I am keeping n minus 1 factorial here. And I am taking 1p from this power also. So what will be left? I will be left with p to the power k minus 1 and n minus 1 factorial. I am putting np outside. Correct. So this formula will be reduced to n minus 1 factorial, k minus 1 factorial, n minus k factorial. And then what I'm doing, after this step, what I'm doing, I'm taking a variable x. I am putting x equal to k minus 1. That means I want to replace every k with x. So when k is equal to 1, what about the limits? When k is equal to 1, my x will be equal to 0. So that's why x is equal to 0. When here it was k minus 1, I am replacing k minus 1 with x. So it is n minus 1 choose x, px into q n minus 1 x. This is the binomial distribution. And this binomial, if you remember from your +2 exam, +2 classes, this binomial distribution, this will be equal to p plus q raised to the power n minus 1. What is my p plus q? P plus q is 1 in the case of a Bernoulli trial, because the probability of the 2 outcomes have to be equal to 1. So, excuse me. So this, my mean in the case of my binomial mean in the case of binomial distribution is NP. What is N? N is the number of trials, and what is P? P is the probability of success. So this is how I obtain mean. this is my binomial theorem, which I applied here at the second step to get it equal to p plus q raised to the power n minus. Okay, so this is how I calculated the binomial mean, but the next will be a little more difficult about the variance of the binomial distribution. This sigma square, this is the general formula of the variance of a random variable, right? Of a random variable. This is the variance formula. I just, this is given by what? X minus mu whole square into px. What is x? X is the measured value, the sample value that, for example, when I toss a coin 100 times, the value of heads in 100 trials, let us say it comes out to be 45. So number of heads are 45. But what is my mu? My mu is 50 actually, which is the expected value of the number of times the heads should come, theoretically. So x minus mu whole square into the probability of that outcome, which is 0.5, right? So I just expand this square. It is x square minus 2x mu plus mu square into px. So I multiply px inside, x square px minus 2 mu x px. What is the meaning of x belonging to D? What is D? D is the set of all the outcomes. So small x is one of the outcomes out of the set of outcomes. Minus simple mathematics plus mu square into px, right? Now this formula, when I was saying this is an important result, let me come back to that. Yes, this is an important result. When I say what is this result, px is the probability distribution for all values of x, right? Px represents the probability distribution for all values of x, and the probability associated with all values of x should be equal to 1, the sum of the probabilities, the area under the curve, basically. So I use this formula here. This mu square sigma x belonging to D px. This is 1, so it will be mu square. This is my mean value, right? X into px. This is my mean value only, so it will be minus 2 mu square x square px minus 2 mu square. So I have expressed this variance expression in this form, x square px minus mu square, and this further can be expressed as expectation of, because this is expectation of x square, because when I say sigma x into px, this is equal to expectation of x, but now it is sigma x square px, so therefore it is expectation of x square minus the expected value of x whole square, because this is mean. Mu is equal to ex. So this is ex square, this is ex whole square. So this is my variance value. All right. Now let us try to find, in the case of binomial distribution, let us try to find out first, because I know the mean value of the binomial distribution I have already calculated. It is NP. So I am not worried about the second term, but I'm worried about the first term, E of x square. So let us try to calculate this. E of x square. It is x square into the probability distribution. What is this probability distribution? This probability distribution is of the binomial probability distribution. So x square, n choose x, p to the power x, q to the power n minus x. I will have to do a lot of manipulations to get this value. So x is equal to 0 to n. All right. So when x, because any value multiply for x is equal to 0, this whole value will be 0. So I will go from x equal to 1 to n. I break my x into 2, x dot x, nx, px, q to the power n minus x. All right. From this n choose x, I take out the n, I open the n factorial and I take out n. So this is xn. This expression will be n minus 1, x minus 1, p. I again take this p out, p to the power x minus 1, q n minus 1, right, p to the power x minus 1, and I in this expression of n minus x, how I just manipulate this power of q. How I manipulate this power? I write it like this: q raised to the power n minus 1 minus x minus 1. This 1 will cancel out, but only n minus x will remain, right? Okay. So this will be x into n. This bar is creating. From why, you must ask why this x minus 1 is there, because I have two x's here. When I expand this x factorial, the x will cancel out with this x, and only x minus 1 factorial will remain. So my expression will be xn, n minus 1 choose x minus 1, p into p raised to the power x minus 1. I have manipulated the powers of q also, q n minus 1 minus x minus 1. All right, so you will have to do a little bit of exercise to calculate the mean. Now I'm left with x equal to 1, x dot n, and n minus 1 choose x minus 1, and this expression. So I extract n from here and p from here. I take out np outside. Now I do change of variable. I put n minus 1 equal to k and x minus 1 equal to j. So when x is equal to 1, what is my value of j? J will be equal to 0. So my limits will be j equal to 0 to k. What is my x? X is equal to j plus 1. So that is why this j plus 1 is there. N minus 1 is replaced with k. So it is replaced with k. X minus 1 is replaced with j. So it is j here. Since this 1p I have taken out, this is pj, right? And q k minus j. My n minus 1 will be k and x minus 1 will be j. So I will have here k minus j. So this is my k minus j. All right. So this is my expression. Now here, if you see this term in this very small bracket that I have put, it is j plus 1. So overall open this sum. 1 will be with j and 1 will be with 1, right? So there will be two summation terms, and np, because any value j equal to 0, any value with j equal to 0 will be 0. So j will vary from 1 to k. J into k choose j, pj q k minus j, and this is what we call as this is the probability associated, this is the probability distribution, and this will be equal to 1. So this will be left with np, right? So what we are left with, k, j going from 1 to k, this np is outside. I'm left with j, I'm left with k here, k minus 1, because if I, this will be k minus 1, I take out k from here, right? I will be left with k minus 1, j minus 1, p into p, j minus 1, right? I'm taking this, I'm solving this for powers of j and also powers of q, and plus np is there. What I will do is, there is no point in explaining this procedure. Because I am sending you the notes, you just look into the only important thing to remember is that 2 times I will do change of variables while solving this. One I have done here, I have removed and I have substituted for n minus 1 equal to k and x minus 1 equal to j. And one time here I will do, I will replace k minus 1 with m and j minus 1 with I. The rest of the things will follow. No problem with that. And in the end, you will find that the variance in the case, binomial variance will come out to be NPQ. What is Q? Q is the probability of failure. What is P? P is the probability of success. And N is the number of trials. The binomial mean was binomial mean was NP, binomial variance is NPQ. And from here now onwards, I can now derive the expression for the binomial theorem, which is the law of large numbers. Right, I have 3-4 minutes. I will probably I will repeat the proof in the next class also, but let me introduce and explain the Bernoulli's theorem so that at least you can start solving the tutorial sheets. Now, what is Bernoulli's theorem? So for the binomial distribution, we have been able to find out the binomial mean, which is equal to NP. We have also been able to find out the binomial variance, which is NPQ. We will use these two factors to get the proof of the binomial theorem. Now consider an experiment with only two possible outcomes, success and failure. And let's say P is the probability of success and is assumed to be same for all trials. All trials mean the probability of success remains the same. N is the number of trials of the experiment. Xn is the number of successes in N trials. N are the total number of trials. Xn are the number of successes. Now, what is the binomial theorem says? Bernoulli's law of large number states that for any epsilon greater than 0, for any value, small value greater than 0, this probability of Xn divided by N. What is Xn? Xn is the number of successes divided by the total number of trials. This is the actually, if you look at it very carefully, this is the sample mean. And what is this P? This is the probability of the theoretical probability of success. This Xn by N is the posterior probability of success. P is the a priori probability of success. So what this law of large number states that Xn divided by N minus P for when this difference is very small is less than epsilon, and this probability will approach towards 1 as N approaches infinity. So this is known as, this is what we call as the law of large numbers. And we will let us look at the proof also. Since Xn denotes the number of successes in N trials, Xn, there are N trials, Xn denotes the number of successes in N trials. So therefore, I can say very confidently that Xn follows binomial distribution with parameters N, P as parameter. So I can write Xn, which is the number of successes. This follows the binomial distribution with N and P as the parameters. So once it follows the binomial distribution, what is the expected value of the this random variable Xn? That means the number of successes. The expected value is NP and the variance is given by NPQ. What is Q? Q equal to 1 minus P. Now in the theorem, in this theorem of law of large numbers, we are interested in this factor Xn by N. P we know, but we are interested in this factor Xn by N. We are not only interested in Xn, rather we are interested in Xn by N. So therefore, we want to know the expected value of Xn by N. And this is given by, you can use this formula. We will prove these formulas also in the coming lectures. The expectation of A is some constant. Expectation of AX will be equal to A into expectation of X. Variance of AX will be equal to A square VX. So I'm using this formula here. Take out this 1 by N out. 1 by N expectation of Xn and expectation of Xn is NP. So therefore, for this Xn by N, what is the expected value? It is P. Yes?
Sir, the time is over.
Time is over. Okay, fine. So I will have to continue with the law of large numbers once again. But no problem. I will deal with that. No issues. Any questions? If you have, you can ask. Otherwise, we will continue with the Bernoulli's law of large numbers and the previous few slides once again. Thank you so much for joining. I am already up. I will share you the link on YouTube where I am sharing all my videos. Thank you.